Custodial capacity. Those are two words buried in an executive order that I need you to learn. Custodial capacity. Sounds like nothing. It sounds like a box you've got to initial at the bank. But what custodial capacity means is this money doesn't belong to us. We're just holding on to it until the rightful owner gets it back. Hell, I've held money for somebody before, and I get nervous as hell. It didn't matter if it's $5 or $5,000. I literally start sweating. I sit there with my hand physically clenching it in my pocket. And then you know what I did with that money anytime somebody asked me to hold on to their cash? I give it back to them. Give it back to them at the end of the night. That's like the entire job. That is custodial capacity. And the money in this particular executive order isn't just $5. It isn't just $5,000. We're talking $13 billion that belongs to Venezuela. And 6 months in, no one in the United States government can tell you where that money went. And credit to the Financial Times, they looked into this, and since the raid that captured President Maduro back in January, and since this administration installed Vice President Rodriguez in the chair, still really run by Rubio, the United States has controlled Venezuelan oil exports since that day. That is as much as a quarter of the entire Venezuelan economy. $13 billion in sales sitting somewhere in American accounts in custodial capacity. And Donald Trump has said out loud in public that we are, quote, making a lot of money, end quote, off Venezuelan oil. Making money. But what about your gas prices? And by the way, the Department of Energy, they put out a statement about this money that is absolutely bonkers. I'm talking Jesse Spano on caffeine pills bonkers. They said that these funds will be dispersed for the benefit of the American people and the Venezuelan people. And there's an and in there on money that the executive order says doesn't belong to Americans. And you know that that money isn't going to go to people like you and me. And let's think about this. What about that money? What could that money do? 2 earthquakes hit Venezuela back to back. The United Nations put the damage at $37 billion. At least 5,300 people are dead. 5,300 people dead. And economists have told the Financial Times that 6 months into this, evidence of any real recovery in Venezuela is muted. AKA, there's no money flowing. And again, that $13 billion could cover roughly half of the earthquake damage. And look, we all know that invasion of Venezuela has always been about nothing more than oil, power, and grift from the very beginning. And now billions in oil money are being controlled by America with zero transparency and zero safeguards. But there is somebody you should watch. And I'm going to tell you, it's a Republican. Maria Elvira Salazar, Republican in Miami. She represents about as hardline anti-Maduro a district as exists anywhere in this country. And she spent a hearing on Tuesday asking her own administration for full disclosure because of, quote, the importance of transparency over where this money is going. She's asking the hard questions. So when the Republican from Miami is the one that's asking the Trump regime where the damn Venezuelan money went, this is not a partisan issue. This is a question of basic human decency. And in the comments, tell me, we've already screwed the pooch down there. What should we be doing in Venezuela? Things, of course, weren't great to start, but then we kidnapped the president and Rubio is allegedly running things. So now what do we do? Tell me in the comments. But anyway, back to this money. The one rule about a custodial account is that you give it back. You don't get to decide that the owner wasn't using it well. You don't get to take a handling fee. You don't get to sit on it while their capital city is under rubble and then put out a press release about how it's going to be dispersed for the benefit of Americans and Venezuelans. And that's why I'm going to ask you to hit the notification bell, because the corporate media, they're bought by oil money that was stolen from the people of Venezuela.